of the things, Caleb Williams, the Bears quarterback, spending a lot of time in Chicago, like you turn on the radio and they're talking Cubs or Caleb Williams. Like that's the topic. And he's gotten some pushback. I think a lot of it is unfair. He's young. I thought during the season he handled himself, like an adult at the podium. That matters to me. He was a grown-up. And I've also said that I'm not going to wait forever. You're going to tell pretty quickly how good he is. As long as you have a competent coach. I mean, you don't need a great one. Is Dan Quinn great? Is Zach Taylor great? Well, he's competent. I think Ben Johnson, the floor is he's certainly competent. I took 5 quarterbacks that none of us would argue they were stars. Andrew Luck, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud. I won't put a Herbert in. Many of you think he's overrated. I'm not going to put a Tua in because I don't think he's a star. Those 5 guys. And I'm not going to use Mahomes because he has Andy Reid, arguably the best coach ever. How long did it take to figure out Andrew Luck was good? Well, he had the worst roster in the NFL. That's why they had the number 1 pick. And weeks 7 through 10, Andrew Luck had a 4-game winning streak. And through 4, in that 4-game winning streak, 1,200 yards, and it was less of a passing league then. How about Jaden Daniels of Washington? In weeks 2, 3, and 4, he went 23 of 29, 21 of 23, 26 of 30. So by September, we have ourselves a superstar quarterback. Joe Burrow, now with an atrocious offensive line. Good receiver, atrocious O-line. Week 2, 61 throws, 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards. Week 3, duplicated it, 300-plus yards. Again, with an atrocious O-line and a coach nobody liked. Lamar Jackson, 6 of his first 7 starts, he won. And he was clearly the most electric runner at the position since Michael Vick. And then C.J. Stroud. I mean, come on. The dude set an NFL record. He didn't have an interception in his first 5 weeks, which is it's NFL history. So my point being, I think you can argue that Caleb Williams' roster, now that he has at least a competent coach, it's better than Andrew Luck's roster, better than Jaden Daniels. I'm not sure it's better than Lamar Jackson's, but it's better than C.J. Stroud's. And outside of Jamar Chase, it's better than Joe Burrow's. So at worst, he would have the second best roster because Baltimore's is always pretty good. And so I looked this morning, I thought, well, Caleb Williams has to be good in September. And if he's not, then the critics, and I know scouts who don't love his accuracy, don't like his footwork, and feel he plays too much hero ball. I think he's got to go 3-1 in the first 4 games because the Raiders and the Cowboys are on that schedule, and he's hosting Minnesota in perfect weather. At Detroit, I'll give you an L. But I think going into the bye in week 5, I don't think it's unrealistic. I don't think it's hyperbolic. I don't think it's a hot take. If we don't see it through those first 4 games, he's probably not it.
Okay. You gotta love the ticking clock in sports. I get it. It adds intensity. It adds drama, right? What's more exciting, the first 3 minutes of a game or the last 3 minutes of a game? We know that answer. First off, he's using a few quarterbacks as an example. Andrew Luck. If Andrew Luck didn't get injured and retire and get so beat up by the Colts, would have retired as an all-time great. Lamar Jackson, all-time great. Joe Burrow, all-time great. I mean, rookie year for Joe Burrow. I did the math because I was actually having a conversation about this with the Bears. What he was on track to do, because he got injured as well, he would have been, in terms of this last season, 2024, if you use his numbers, he only played, it would have only been 16 games, but if you do it for the 17, he would have had the second most passing yards in the NFL of last season. And himself, it was already on that list. So it's kind of crazy. So Joe Burrow is also, truly, truly special. CJ Stroud is the one question mark because we just don't really know. And he had a great season, don't get me wrong, but, like anything, still a lot of things needed to fall in his favor. And then now in year 2, everybody was burying him, right? And they're like, oh, he doesn't have a good OC, and his weapons got hurt, and his O-line is bad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, You realize he could have easily had year 2 his year 1. Easily. It was just the football gods said, no, my child. We're going to give you a great rookie year. So, if anything, CJ Stroud kind of proves it of like, let's not jump to conclusions in either direction. We got to let this stuff unfold. So giving this arbitrary, he's got to go 3-1 in those first 4 weeks. Why? This is Caleb Williams' first year actually with a competent, with what should be a competent franchise, competent coach, competent O-line. If CJ Stroud wasn't able to handle the O-line and you know, in year 2, why should we expect Caleb Williams to be able to handle it in year 1? If Patrick Mahomes couldn't handle the O-line in year, I don't even know what, 8, 7, 6, 8, whatever the heck it is already, time goes fast. Why are we expecting Caleb Williams to be able to do it in year 1? And okay, so Joe Burrow is able to kind of do it. That's great. Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow went to Andy Reid or Shanahan or McVay, Joe Burrow would be in the GOAT conversation most likely. Truly special. And people could say, well, Caleb Williams, he's supposed to be that. He's supposed to be generational. Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out. But what people get obsessed with is he was a number 1 overall pick. Therefore, he needs to become one day the number 1 quarterback. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. He can be a great quarterback. He can be an awesome quarterback. He can be one of the best quarterbacks of his era. But it doesn't mean that he has to absolutely light the league on fire, or he has to do so by year 2. I don't really get that. And you're saying, okay, I'll give them the Detroit Lions loss. It's like, okay, well, the Minnesota Vikings were an awesome team. Obviously, again, a game away from being the number 1 seed. And yes, I understand they have J.J. McCarthy, but like all anyone praised Colin himself, that Brian Flores defense. And said, you know, Brock Purdy was seeing stuff that he never even saw before. And so now you're expecting Caleb Williams in week 1 to just magically like not have, you're not going to leave any door open for him to potentially struggle with that. I don't think that's fair. You have Pete Carroll now with the defense, with the Raiders. I mean, like these great defensive coordinators and defensive coaches, they cut their, that's how they own the NFL, is by taking advantage of young quarterbacks. And there was no true football growth with Caleb Williams last year. And not his fault. I already made that video unpacking all of that and ripping the Bears for that. Not his fault. From a coaching perspective, from just a veteran perspective, this is year 1 for Caleb Williams. It just is. Not all rookie seasons are equal. So in weight training, you have something called like newbie gains, beginner gains, and it's a real phenomenon. It's a real thing. You know, the research and science and all that is very, very you know, well documented at this point. That when you first start lifting, within your first year, you can gain like 24 pounds of muscle. You know, if you have a decent enough genetics, you can gain about 24 pounds of muscle. And then the second year, third year, fourth year, it gets less and less and less. You can gain 12 pounds of muscle, then like 8 pounds of muscle. And then when you're truly experienced, like you're grateful and lucky if you can gain like a pound of muscle. Like that's what it gets reduced down to. But the beginner gains, that first year, you can gain, you know, about 24 pounds of muscle. Now, and that's with proper lifting and understanding nutrition and weight training, working out hard enough, frequently enough volume, etc., etc. But you can train wrong. I could exercise for 5 years and not train with enough volume, not train intensely enough, not train heavy enough, not eating correctly, not eating enough protein, etc., etc. And then in year 6, when I finally learn how to actually lift and what it actually takes to actually build muscle and what to eat and all that stuff, I can gain 24 pounds of muscle, because those first 5-6 years, I wasn't doing that because I was training poorly. That's how the NFL works. It's very simple. Not all year 1s are equal. Not all year 2s are equal. So this whole arbitrary timeline that you're just supposed to magically figure it out, I just reject that wholeheartedly. Now, I'll concede, if Caleb Williams has a bad season as a whole, then yeah, you're like, all right, this is year one, but kind of, this is year two, but kind of year one. Like, I would have liked it better. Like, and I don't also put this arbitrary record either. Let's say Caleb Williams looks really, really smooth, and he throws, making up numbers here, 22 for 30, 280 yards, had a couple really nice throws, 3rd and long, gotta have it moments. He completed it, extended the plays with his legs, but they lost. They lost 28-14. I'm not going to be like, Camp, they're 0-1. Now they're going to be at risk for being 0-2? Caleb's not the guy. I mean, what? Some people are able to get off to a hot start. Some people are able to hit the ground running. But, again, you can't use the beginning as such a strong frame of reference. Because one, we just saw what happened to C.J. Stroud, and I defend C.J. Stroud. But two, let's just look at this let's look at this very schedule right here and just go through it. Originally, Sam Darnold was a Minnesota Vikings quarterback. Everybody was ready to be like, well, he's a bust. Oh, no, he's actually really great. Oh, my God, he's amazing. He's going to get paid. Oh, never mind. The Minnesota Vikings should move on from him. Okay. The Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, he's not good. Oh, my God, the Rams made a mistake drafting him. He's awful. Sean McVay comes there, and they're like, oh, my God, he's amazing. He's great. He's going to lead them to a Super Bowl. Never mind. They got to get him out of here. Get Stafford. He's trash. He's awful. Ooh, he's struggling with the Lions. He's not good. Oh, my God, he's amazing. He's great. Let's pay him lots of money. Oh, my God, did you see how bad he was in the playoffs? Ooh, I don't know. If they don't win next year, they got to draft another quarterback. Colin's take, by the way. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott hits the league running. Oh my God, who is this 4th round pick? Jerry Jones does it again. Oh, Tony Romo, who? Dak is going to restore the greatness to the Dallas Cowboys. Did you see what he did in year one? Dak? He's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? That's a waste of money. He's a $45 million quarterback. He's a Kirk Cousins with the Nike deal. He's not that good. Cowboys should consider moving on from him. Maybe draft Shador Sanders? Geno Smith, he's garbage, he's trash. Geno Smith, look at the stats. Do you realize that Geno's actually top 5 in a lot of these stats, top 10? Is Geno Smith actually an amazing quarterback, but has just been playing for not popular teams or as media popular teams? You understand? That you can't zoom in too much in any of these scenarios. Go back in time and remember the conversations that were being had just about these 4 teams that they're about to face. Let's not even go through any of the other teams. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, the fans in year one they wanted Joe Flacco to come back because Lamar was not playing good in that game. And I remember they were talking about on the broadcast, they were like, they got to be careful here. Lamar Jackson is the true future of this team. It's not Joe Flacco. So you can't just bench Lamar Jackson in hopes that Joe Flacco will bail you out in the short term. And it's like a fascinating kind of conversation to have. And then here we are. Now, even years later, people are still kind of considering, can Lamar Jackson handle the moment? And yet we know he's electric. Jalen Hurts, won a Super Bowl. Year one, kind of okay. I mean, actually, technically, year one, didn't really play. Year two, was a starter, played pretty good. Weird thing with the coaching, Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni. Then year 3, MVP candidate, Super Bowl, one of the greatest Super Bowls ever, lost. Year 4, I'm already messing up the math here. Bad season, interception, turnover central. People are talking about that he's going to get Carson Wentz. They're going to move on from him. Nick Sirianni is going to be fired. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. They can't win without him. Is he holding a Super Bowl a Lombardi trophy? Is he a Super Bowl MVP now? Is he in all the commercials now? Did he just outduel Patrick Mahomes for a second time? Oh, geez. And I can't wait until next year when they're kind of like, he's not good. So, Deshaun Watson, let's get to the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson was ready to light the league on fire He was going to be Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes. What happened to him? What happened to him? Jordan Love, not so good. Absolutely amazing. Technically the best quarterback in the NFL in the last 11 games or whatever in 23, 24. Not so much. Brock Purdy balled out with the 49ers. First 2 years, 2 NFC championship games, a Super Bowl. Year 3, not so much. So we don't have to invent these rules. And I don't mean to beat, this point too hard, but it needs to be. There's not this arbitrary, this made up arbitrary timeline of they got to be 3-1. Otherwise, he's probably not the guy. Says who? Based on what? Why? Give me reasons why. And the reasons why are not Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Andrew Luck. That's insane. We're not going to use a reference as what should be some of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. Who, mind you, have also had bad moments and bad seasons in their career. Just the reality. So, I'm not going to look at this random arbitrary either wins and losses or your even box score stats. I'm going to look at how is Caleb Williams playing? Is he doing what Ben Johnson is asking from him? Does he look better from last year to this year? I don't need him to show me that he has this generational talent in year, in the first 3 weeks of year 2. When he's brand new with Ben Johnson, which is also pretty funny. Because when Colin was mega high on Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, it took a minute. Sean Payton came to the Broncos and with Russ. And the first couple of games were a little rocky, didn't look too great. And everybody was like, see, Sean Payton's not that good of a coach. Russell Wilson's not that great of a quarterback, etc., etc. Then in the middle of the season, they got some momentum. And Russ was playing great. Sean Payton, they were connecting, all that fun stuff. And I remember Colin came out and said, see, guys, this takes time. Even for established coaches and established veteran, quarterbacks of Super Bowl winners on both sides, it takes a second. You can't just do it from week 1. This takes time. But now Caleb Williams in year 2, after a disaster of a year 1, not real ton of fault of his own, with an inexperienced head coach in Ben Johnson, his first time ever being a head coach. And I think he's going to be great, mind you, but it's still going to be his first few games as a head coach. He's going to feel the pressure. He's going to feel the moment as well. They somehow now have to connect in seconds. Why? It just doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me at all. So, yeah, I'm increasingly becoming really excited about the storylines that are going to still unfold with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. I really am, because CJ Stroud was definitely pretty popular in 23. 23, right? His rookie year. But I guess because it's the Houston Texans, still didn't have a lot of energy. I think Caleb Williams' season that was worse than CJ Stroud's rookie year got way more energy behind it, more popular team, more popular player, etc., etc. And then in year 2, even though CJ Stroud balled out in year 1, and a lot of people are like, I think CJ is going to be great, etc., etc., the energy and the attention just was not quite there. And even when he was struggling or the team was struggling, there was still not a lot of energy on it. Again, they unpacked more about Caleb Williams' issues than CJ Stroud's issues. And now in year 2 with Caleb and the Bears, I just kind of had this aha moment where I'm just like, oh, we're going to continue to talk about Caleb and the Chicago Bears all day, every day. This is, I'm recording this, this week, and it's just by Wednesday, Colin's already going to have 8 different Chicago Bears segment. It's funny. Is Ben Johnson the right coach for Caleb? And, yesterday's question was, how will Ben Johnson work with Caleb? Will Caleb and Ben Johnson work together? What does Caleb need from Ben Johnson? What does Ben Johnson need from Caleb Williams? It's oh my God, And so I just kind of had this aha moment. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun to continue to unpack. And there's going to still be plenty of absurd takes out there. And forced takes as well. But I already voiced a take that's similar to this. Not exactly, I pretty much said all new stuff, but, the cousin of this take. And someone said to me, oh, I like how you're already making excuses for Caleb. You're already trying to set the stage to make excuses for Caleb. And it's just like, guys, I don't need Caleb Williams to look like an MVP and a first ballot Hall of Famer by week 2 when you're playing back-to-back divisional opponents with like established rosters, established coaching staffs. And I even admitted in that take, like, it would not look great if JJ McCarthy week 1 outduels Caleb Williams. I admit that completely. I admit that, 100%. But like, we can bring some nuance to this conversation, and we don't need arbitrary, days or weeks where we're just like, by week 6, if he's not showing it, he's not the guy. It's like, all right. And again, it's like, what do we need to see? What are we looking for? Just wins, comeback wins, high completion percentage, more accurate throws. Like, how are we defining it? Because when Brock Purdy, also, this will be my last point, when Brock Purdy first hit the scene, people were not 100% giving all the credit to the team and Shanahan. I mean, they admitted that was part of it, of course, but like, Brock Purdy had a ton of energy behind him, just like, this is amazing, Mr. Irrelevant, look at this. Like, they loved the story, loved it. Then as time went on a little bit, they were kind of like, I feel like it really is just a team. I feel like it really is the coach. And now there's that constant battle between, is it the coach and the players? Is it Purdy? Etc., etc. And really just what that can highlight is that no matter who's right in that story, it's not hard that you can pretty much see any quarterback have a chunk of games that you can truly look like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We see this with backup quarterbacks. We've seen this over the years with, Fitzmagic, Gardner Minshew, Minshew mania. That's why we have all these like manias and this and that. Nick Foles. I mean, watch Nick Foles in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. He literally looks like one of the great, and I mean like top 2, top 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Watch Eli Manning when he goes and plays the Patriots. He has some drives where if you only saw that drive, you would say Eli Manning is better than Patrick Mahomes, and it's not even close. You would say, I wouldn't hesitate to pick Eli Manning. You're like, I wouldn't hesitate. Patrick who? I'm taking Eli every single day. That's what happens when you zoom in too much. And when you're now coming with this arbitrary, he's got to show us this by this time, you're too zoomed in. You got to take a step back. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams? Do you think Ben Johnson is the right coach for Caleb? That wasn't really the question, but it's there. And, how quickly do you think Caleb needs to show that he is the guy? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.